As the situation on the southern border continues to deteriorate, migrants are pouring into the U.S. at taxpayers' expense to house them. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris haven't seemed overly concerned. Remember, it's not a crisis, it's just a challenge. Not a crisis, and certainly not a national security threat. My first guest is ranking member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. He represents the state of California in the 22nd District. Joining us now, Congressman Devin Nunes. Great to have you back, Congressman. Let's get underway, starting with the border. Your state's a border state. You guys are affected by illegal immigration. To what degree is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris missing the reality of what's taking place?
Well, probably first and foremost is you have a Gallup poll that came out that showed that they estimate, and this is Gallup, this is not a right-wing type of polling group, estimated that 42 million people were looking to move from Central and South America into the United States. I haven't seen the whole poll, I read the headlines. But you're talking about 100,000 people a month. I was just in Arizona this week talking to a lot of the people that are impacted by the border. They've never seen levels at this rate. And of course, you have the secondary issue, Governor, that most of these people, they're transiting through the Mexican border, but they're actually not Mexican. They're coming from Central America, South America, even Africa and Europe, and including, I think, some threats that we should be concerned about, not only counterterrorism, radical Islamic threats, but also worldwide drug cartels and mafia. There's all sorts of people that are now flowing across the border. And you have a situation where Biden just stopped building the wall. And many of my colleagues who have been down there, they say there's a 20-mile stretch and then there's a 20-foot hole in it where the wall's just sitting there because Biden stopped all spending on it. I mean, this should be, the court should step in. This was an agreement. Congress had signed it. Trump had signed this into law. It's all paid for. At least what Trump campaigned on, the Congress funded, it actually should be built.
There's been this sense in which the greatest story is the human trafficking going on with children, unaccompanied minors. Thousands and thousands of them herded together, many of them with COVID, no place to put them. Now they're being moved into hotels. That's what I think is stunning. We're talking about an $86 million expenditure to put people in hotels in Dallas, Texas. My gosh, there are a lot of Americans that haven't had a vacation in the year since COVID. They'd probably like to stay in a hotel too. But we're all funding that. What can you do in Congress to stop any of this?
Well, the challenge is if we had control of the Congress, we could actually do something. We could at least stop bad things from happening. I think the challenge we have now is that there's no oversight over these cast of characters. I don't have subpoena power. That power rests with Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. So it makes it tough. Other than doing border inspections and coming on shows like yours to inform the American people, this is why it's going to be critical over the course of the next year and a half to make the case that voters across this country need to reward Republicans. We gained seats. Remember, outside of the presidential election and the 2 seats in Georgia, we did very, very well in the House. And so it's going to be critical to make the case that you really need conservative-minded people watching the Obama, Biden, Harris administration. And you notice how I said that in that order.
You know, I think Biden and Harris is kind of making Obama look as conservative as Ronald Reagan, as far left as Biden and Harris seem to be taking the country, far more so than President Obama, which we thought was pretty far to the left at the time. Big issue in California is the recall of Governor Newsom. Far more signatures gathered than were necessary to get it on the ballot. One of the things I find interesting, Congressman, there are a lot of Democrats and independents who signed those petitions who want to recall Gavin Newsom. This isn't just a Republican deal.
Well, the way that I say this, Governor, the way I look at this is if you, as governor at the time when you were governor of Arkansas, or me as a congressman, if we were out advocating school closures, restaurant closures, everybody wear masks, and then if we were caught in one of the finest restaurants in California, drinking very expensive wine with lobbyists indoors without a mask, we would be run out of office within days and weeks.
Yes.
This was largely covered up. This is exactly what Newsom did. So this is just one of many areas of hypocrisy. I mean, the other areas are that he, when we have fires burning in California, they run up into the mountains just above where I'm sitting now, and they say, "Oh, it's global warming." Well, no, people remember 20 years ago when Bill Clinton created a monument and marked all the forests off so that in all the jobs, tens of thousands of jobs were eliminated in California. There are still some people that remember this. And so when it's all on fire, he sits up there and blames global warming. You have the hypocrisy of the Republican counties in California remaining on hard lockdowns ordered by the governor, restaurants and business owners being targeted when, conveniently the liberal counties, Lake Tahoe, Napa, they were opened up, places where people in the Bay Area wanted to escape to. So you have this two-tiered system of government and two-tiered system of values and things that he follows himself, or he orders people to do, but he doesn't follow himself, I should say.
Are you optimistic that the Republicans will get the House back and maybe take the Senate in 2022 as a result of the Democrats so overplaying their hand?
I am. It's going to take, the big issue that we have here, though, is getting information out to the American people. So, as you know, 95% of the content that's now being created everywhere on the web is extreme left wing. Mm-hmm. But when you run it through your iPhone or your iPad or your desktop, 99.9% of the information that's getting to people's eyeballs is garbage. It's that 95% of the left-wing content. So one of the things that Donald Trump has done, and I think a lot of Republicans have done, rural America has now completely turned conservative and Republican, even areas that historically weren't. Donald Trump, went to areas of Wisconsin and Minnesota and Michigan that had been traditional kind of union labor areas and he turned those people into Republicans. So now we have a country where 47% of the people aren't buying anything that the left-wing media is saying at 95%. The problem is trying to reach that 10 or 20% of the people in the middle to help us get from that 47% to 60, which is where we should be. Mm-hmm. When you poll people, they don't think any of this stuff is okay. That kids aren't back in school, for example, that kids with COVID from Central and South America and God knows where are flowing across the border, that the American taxpayers paid for a wall that isn't being built. These are all things that have 70, 85% approval rating. But if the people that don't pay attention to politics very often, if they're just being poisoned on a daily basis by left-wing news organizations and big tech companies that are censoring and flowing that content into your brain, it's nothing short of poisoning the brain. It's nothing short of Pravda from the old days of the Soviet Union. It's no different than what the Chinese Communist Party does in China. Those are the real headwinds that we face, is trying to figure out how do we reach the people that are outside of that 47% who aren't buying what the left wing is telling them.
I want to say thanks for being back with us. I want to have you back because one of the issues that you have been maybe the premier champion in the Congress is on trying to get some control of big tech. That's what I want to get back to when we have you back. Congressman Devin Nunes, thank you very much. By the way, to our audience, you can follow the Congressman on Parler at Devin Nunes. Check out nunes.house.gov for all the latest from his office and what he's doing for the people of California, and for that matter, what he's doing for all of us in America, and he is.